All right.
Hello.
Hello, babes.
Hello.
We were just talking about the Blues Festival.
Yes.
As we speak, I have a burner phone that is very, very old, but it does have a radio app on it. It's tuned into KBOO, and it is hooked up to my Sony MP3 recorder through the headphone jack with a TRRS cable.
Wow.
Because we're starting this a little bit late, all I'll have to do is pause for like a second to press the record button, and it'll connect it'll get the signal from my phone of the radio station and record the KBOO set.
That is so cool. That is really cool. And I suggest that we listen to some of it because, unfortunately, we are not going to be able to go this year.
Mark Burchard is playing from 3 to 4 today. And I saw him live a few years ago when they did the Blues Fest in public still. I mean, they're still doing it, but it's
different this year.
Yeah, it's very small.
Very small. People are in pods.
It was a crazy event. So I was going to actually skip the Mark Burchard performance because I had gone home early. I think what it was now is I was dehydrated from not having enough water.
Oh.
And I was really considering not going back to the Blues Fest.
Yeah.
But I tuned into the radio on KBOO.
Right.
And I heard something that sounded pretty good. So I decided, oh, what the hell? I already have weekend passes. So I went down to the Blues Festival, heard somebody, I forgot who it was, and then I go over to the Crossroads stage. Was it the Crossroads stage?
I don't know. I wasn't there.
No, I think it was the GNC stage.
Okay.
It was the one that's like right next to the big stage.
Is that the one that one of the stages that we went to?
That was where we saw LaRonda Still.
Oh, okay.
And I'm pretty sure that's the GNC stage. And then there's the FedEx Crossroads stage, which I also like, which is smaller. But anyways.
Yeah.
I'm at the GNC stage. I didn't even know who Mark Burchard was. I just got the passes because I trust the people who program the festival.
Yeah.
And this lady who's maybe in her late 50s, early 60s, who seems like somewhat of a hippie, starts talking to me. She's like, are you excited to see Mark Burchard? And I explained that I don't know who he is. And she said, well, he's kind of well known. He's had a couple songs on some reality shows, and I'm a big fan of his music. I'm so glad I get to see him live today. I think she said that she was from Astoria, and she came down primarily to see him perform.
Oh, wow.
And she looked like, she had some fun back in the day, maybe smoked some weed. So she seemed kind of cool.
Yeah, okay.
He gets on stage. It was a perfect amount of talking because you don't want to communicate too much.
Right, you just want to listen, yeah.
But it's kind of nice to interact with somebody.
Yeah.
And we kind of danced a little bit, and it was a great performance. That's what made me a fan of his music. So you've heard some of his songs around my apartment.
Oh, yes.
And
we've danced to many of his songs.
It's obviously it's not the same as actually seeing him live.
Yes.
It's kind of like a weird bastardization of that, but it's as close as we can get right now. Right? So I'm excited to listen to the concert with you. We should talk about, there's a bunch of stuff to talk about.
Oh, yes.
But let's, since we're already on the Blues Fest.
Yeah.
Maybe we should discuss hearing Samantha Fish yesterday when we're in the kitchen.
Samantha Fish was really good.
She's really good.
But it was hard to hear. It was hard to hear the audience. I mean, I was able to hear some of it, but it was like they sounded really far away. And I would imagine that they weren't as close to the stage as they usually would be.
That's my assumption too. And also they're spread out. So even if there's some people close, it's not like it's 80 people who are close to the stage or a couple hundred. It's maybe like 10 or 12, right?
Yeah, and she did a really good version of a song called Hello Stranger. Yvonne Elliman, who is from my native Hawaii, did a version of that song too, but I think somebody else did an original version of Hello Stranger. But I liked both versions. It
was great to hear Samantha Fish at the Blues Festival again yesterday. Having said that, it's no fault of her own. The audio quality kind of sucked.
Okay.
But again, we already established why.
Yeah. I remember you told me you wanted to take me to see her at the Aladdin Theater last year.
I was very close to getting tickets. This was in mid-March that I found out that she was performing there, and then the shows got canceled because of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
But I absolutely would have gone to see her. And I would have gone this year had it been not so restrictive. Like, even if it was $80 for a day and you have to be in the pod,
ridiculously,
I still might have paid it.
Yeah.
You know, it was super close to me not going this year, even with all the restrictions.
Yeah, but $80 for half a day, I don't know. That's just a little too much.
Well, that's why we didn't go.
Yeah.
But if it was for the full day,
yes,
even in the pod, there's a good chance we would have been there yesterday.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yes. I'm excited about today, and I'm cautiously hopeful about next year.
Yeah, I would imagine, because I would like to see some cool, I'd like to hear some cool music in the park.
It's just strange that it's going to be 3 years between me going to a Blues Fest, you know?
Yeah, I know, it is. Yeah.
Yes. But a lot of people are filming that.
It's a little, it's been turned upside down. I mean, yeah, our worlds literally have been turned upside down from a year and a half.
That's right, Pilgrim.
I mean, 2 weeks ago, today actually, we went on our, as we have mentioned in another episode, we went on our first bike ride with people after a year and a half.
And we still have to discuss if we're going to be doing more of that stuff this summer. I want to.
I would love to. I just have to figure out what's going to happen with my July.
Yes, Pilgrim.
Okay, we have to explain that. We have to explain the whole Pilgrim thing.
Should we get to it now or a little bit later?
Why don't we talk about that later, but we do have to explain the whole Pilgrim thing.
Okay, Jaylo Pilgrim.
Okay, so we watched, one of the movies we watched that we will...
Later,
no, I'm just explaining.
Go ahead.
I'm not going to go into it yet.
Go ahead.
But we are going to talk about the movies, but the one movie we watched had John Wayne in it, and I heard that whenever someone refers to John Wayne, he always calls people Pilgrim in the movies.
I actually don't know. As big of a movie fan as I am, this is actually the first John Wayne film I ever saw. In my mind, I always saw him as this wannabe cowboy, just an actor who believed his own publicity, right? And who's probably like a redneck in real life, but doesn't really have any skills. That's my perception of it. Mm-hmm. I could be completely wrong, but that's how I feel.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Pilgrim.
You're going to call me this throughout the whole episode.
Sorry, babes.
Oh my goodness. Well, I mean, I think it's kind of funny, but, you know, Pilgrim.
The last half of our recording yesterday, we were very, very flustered because of the smoke detector and
then figuring out what actually happened.
I believe we mentioned this then, but I'm a little bit flustered, so I'll mention it just in case we forgot to or didn't. Is that it turned out that you had turned on the self-cleaning setting on your oven accidentally.
Right.
And that was not the end of our kitchen mishaps.
That was not, but that was my part of the
But before we get there, I do want to say that the night before we had watched Rain Man and Say Anything, which I only bring up again because I don't want to give those films short shrift. Yes. And I don't want to do another recap, but I wanted to know, is there anything else about those movies you wanted to say now?
Oh yeah. You know those two girls that were friends of Floyd?
Yes.
We should talk about them a little bit because they're kind of there, right? The one girl in particular, I don't know what her name is, but she's like obsessed with her ex-boyfriend Joe.
Yes.
I mean, really obsessed.
She writes all these songs about him.
Right. And she's like, you know, looking at him as she's singing it. And this is at the party that, Floyd and, Diane go to end their high school years with their friends.
Their first date.
Their first date. Yeah. And, and every time she would talk to Floyd, she would, compare it to Joe and herself, and they're not even together anymore. And this other girl is kind of there, but she offers, you know, advice to him as well about what to do with, about Diane.
So here's a question about that.
Yeah.
The girl who is super into Joe, what happens to her? Because at one point during the party, I think it's that one. Joe says that he's saving all the tapes of the songs she's recorded about him because Joe thinks that they're going to be super valuable one day. Do you think that this lady goes on to become a success? So here's an interesting context, and the filmmakers didn't know this at the time.
Yeah.
The film is based in Seattle in 1987.
Yes.
And like 4.5 years later, grunge hits.
Yes.
And becomes like the biggest thing in music for a couple of years. Which would have put this lady, had she continued in music, roughly in the age group to where she could have capitalized and become a grunge star, which is totally not their intent, right? But do you think that she becomes a music star or burns out and just does something else with her life?
She seems like a kind of person that doesn't seem like she has a lot of direction. You know, maybe she wants to be a guitarist that goes on to do good things with her career, or she just keeps thinking about Joe and writes more ridiculous songs about Joe. But Joe is her muse.
Yes.
I don't know that she does. Maybe it's just a hobby with her. Because even when she's talking to that girl, she's just like, you know, carelessly noodling on her guitar. And she doesn't really, you know, she's not, I don't believe she's writing any songs while she's talking, when she's just kind of noodling. So I don't know if she really takes it seriously.
Do you think that her and Joe get back together?
It's possible, but it's also not possible that they do.
I agree.
I don't know. It's not set in stone.
It could go either way.
It could go either way. She could move on to another guy and be obsessive about him, or they do get back together and they end up getting married, and she ends up being the breadwinner of the family because she makes she writes songs about her husband. I don't know.
Maybe it's kind of like Kurt and Courtney in reverse.
Yeah.
Like she becomes a big star, then kills herself, and Joe gets to be in Milos Forman movies because he was married to a rock star once. I don't know.
A wannabe rocker. I don't know about her. She's just a comic relief in the movie, I guess. It's really funny.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to say about Say Anything or Rain Man?
I don't think so. I think I kind of talked about what I want to talk about with Rain Man. Yeah.
That's fair. I just wanted to bring that up again.
Well, here's a question though. Actually, I just thought of something. I wonder if anybody has come up to Dustin Hoffman and talked about like what he thinks about what's going on with the discoveries in autism.
You know what? That's actually a good question that I don't know the answer to. I bet they have.
Because Rain Man is like, you know, he plays the what people perceive autism to be. You know, what savants are perceived to be, which in some ways that is correct.
But it's also Hollywood.
And it's very like that. It sounds like it's just very, you know, for show. You know, not every savant is, well, I mean, with any form of autism, whether it's, whatever it's called, because there's different types, some people are really brilliant in one skill, but then they also pick up other skills and they go on different kicks. So it's not always the same.
You know what I was thinking about just now, babes? This is going to sound very bizarre. But let's say you come from an emotionally abusive family and you're a savant and maybe you are really good at math. Yeah. So at the age of 5, your parents want to make sure that you don't succeed in life because they're abusive. Yeah. They prevent you from doing any math. Right. Do you develop these super skills in another area or no?
That's hard to say. Because, I know from experience with having friends that have Asperger's or friends that I've had with people in their family that have Asperger's. Once you get them on a kick, once they know what their niche is, they don't seem to leave it.
Interesting.
So I don't know how to answer that. It's possible that they would prevent him or her in growing in math if they were from an emotionally abusive family. But it may not stop them. They could just keep on going and say, look, I'm really good at this and I don't care about. Well, if they are if they are able to verbalize it and say, hey, I like math or technology or what have you, and no one's going to stop me from doing it, then they might just keep on going.
I don't know. Maybe their parents take away all their tech and their pens and pads so they can't do math. Yeah. I don't know. I've wondered about that. Mm-hmm. Just now, of course.
Yeah.
Yes. Is there anything else you want to say about these two films?
No, but they're definitely, they do make you think.
They do.
They do. And I always like, films that make you think, so.
I do too.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about our adventures in the kitchen.
Yes, we already, expounded on what happened with me, and I've come up with, some solutions to prevent that, because I'm planning to label a certain knob.
I think I know what happened with me yesterday.
Okay.
It was a banner day in the kitchen for us, people.
Both of us had mishaps. Yes.
So, your slow cooker is laid out a little bit different than mine. Uh-huh. Mine, there's like 3 settings. Off, low, and high. And yours is like off,
low,
high,
and warm.
And I was trying to figure out how that was. And I think what happened was, now that I'm looking at it, is I lifted your slow cooker to kind of look at it a little bit better.
Yes.
Because now for all those blind people who said, hey, you should know Braille, bro.
Right.
Yours is not labeled. And I actually don't think in general that people need to label their slow cookers.
No, I don't think so at all. No.
But I didn't know the settings, and I just assumed it was like mine until I felt that there were like 4 different settings.
Yes.
So I think what happened was I lifted yours, and it came out of the plug, and I just didn't realize it.
Ah, okay.
Okay. So
I did plug it in. I did. Yeah.
This is around, I don't know, 10 yesterday, maybe 9.
Yeah, it was after that, I think. It was... No, was it? I don't remember.
When we first put the...
Yes, it was about between 9 and 10, yes, roughly.
Your slow cooker is smaller than mine.
Uh-huh.
I put water in there, some crushed garlic, some black peppercorns, and a couple of bay leaves.
Yes.
And because I don't realize that it's unplugged, at first I'm thinking, okay, everything's going to be fine. Just chill out. We do our thing. We had the experience with your oven. Afterwards, we're kind of talking, and you decide to take a nap around 12:25.
Yes, I was very tired yesterday, yes.
We should say, and I know you're not supposed to do this normally, but because your slow cooker was so small, at around 12, I took off the lid and poured in some water because I didn't want it to, run out or anything.
Right, yeah.
I didn't notice that it was cold because you had said put on some gloves when you take off the lid because it can be hot.
Right, because I thought in my mind that it was still plugged in.
And I just assumed that too. But because had I not worn gloves, I could have told that it was, a room temperature, right?
Yes.
But because I'm wearing gloves, I just take off the lid, pour in the water, put it back on. So you go to bed. And around 2, I decide, well, let me check. Those beans are probably close to done right now. But because you're not up, I think, I don't really need gloves. Touch it, can't feel any heat. Touch the sides of it, and it is cold. And then I feel around and realize that it's unplugged. Freak out, plug it in, wake you up around 2:30, kind of tell you the situation. I might be getting the timeline a little bit off.
And I thought, oh no, what's going to happen?
So... Then I think to myself, okay, we're not going to have these in time for dinner. Maybe what we should do is just pour everything into a pot and cook the water down, right? This happens around 3:15, I want to say, because we were listening to Samantha Fish. And I put you on chopping up like onions and whatnot
for onions and tomato
for our rice.
And onion,
Everything's on the stovetop boiling as far as the beans are concerned. And it keeps going on. And this is going on from probably 3:15 until around 5.
And we're tasting the beans.
You're tasting them.
I'm tasting the beans.
I tasted one near the beginning, and it tasted undercooked, right?
And I said, I think it's there, but it's not quite there. And I'm thinking, why is it not there yet?
Around 5, I bite one, and I'm like, we got to pour these out and just get started on the rice. And they are very undercooked.
Yes.
So we start work on the rice, and then it obviously hits me. I usually cook my beans. I dehydrate them, or I cook dried beans rather.
You soak them, right?
Well, no, here's what happens. I cook them in the Instapot or in a slow cooker that's turned on. Right? Now, typically, when you cook dehydrated beans on the stovetop, you're supposed to soak them overnight so they have a chance to expand, get that water in. And they had only been sitting in your slow cooker for maybe 4 hours instead of like 8 to 10.
Yes.
So I think what happened was because of that, that's why they didn't cook right. But of course, I think about this later. And when we poured the beans out, I should say that the inside was burned, like they were stuck to the bottom of them.
Oh, it was terrible.
So you had to, and I said, break out the wool.
I said, break out. You told me to get the Brillo pads, and I'm scraping the pot. And then you said, well, I don't know if we're going to have if we're going to have anything for dinner. I said, wait, I have a big can of refried beans. Mm-hmm. And I said, you know what? I thought I had black beans, but...
Well, I checked and you didn't.
Okay.
Or at least I couldn't find them.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think I bought them. Anyway, but I remembered, oh wait, I have a big can of refried beans that I haven't even used yet. So
we put those in a pan with some sweet corn. And by now it's getting close to 6 because we're still cooking the rice. Uh-huh. So we and it's like, we just got to eat. We got to make something. And we cooked everything, and it ended up tasting pretty good.
It was delicious, yeah. Mm-hmm. And then, so what you did was you put them in my big pot, the rice, the beans, and the corn.
And just mix them all together for today.
And I said, you know what? I think it's going to work.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, you kind of want things separated, but I was thinking, we just want to get this in the fridge. You probably don't want to reorganize stuff, and it'll taste fine.
Yeah, I'm sure it will.
Yes.
I'm sure it will. And then we still have leftovers for dinner.
Avocado to put on.
And we have avocado. We used one avocado for yesterday, and it was really good. Mm-hmm. And then we're going to use the last avocado for today. So I think it's going to work out. And I'm glad that we went through all that yesterday, because now we don't have to make anything tonight.
That's good.
I'm so happy. I'm happy about that. But now we know what not to do. And I'm thinking today that I should look with you at the alarm so that if I have to turn it off, I know what to do.
Mm-hmm. We should also say, while this is going on, we're getting ready for dinner, and I'm also looking at the Blues Fest website, because for some reason they're only simulcasting the first half on KBOO, and the second half is going out on their website. So I wanted to record it because, I love Alana and she's great, but she's not going to want to listen to the Blues Festival 8 hours a day.
No. A little here, a little there, but not 8 hours.
It's taking a while for it to come on. So my recording started late, and when it first starts, the audio isn't coming through. And then I realized that I have my iPad on mute, or at least the player is.
Okay.
But finally, I think I started at 11 minutes into the second half of the first day. So I do have most of the Blues Fest on tape, Jaylo.
Oh, good.
Yeah, babes.
Oh, good.
Yeah, Pilgrim.
Yeah, it was, but anyway, we got through that. Dinner was really good.
It was.
Everything just came together. So I think whatever we went through earlier was worth it, because we were able to produce something.
And this is a good lesson too.
It is.
I tell you all the time, I'm a really good cook at home, but
yes.
I screw up sometimes and forget things.
Yeah, that's okay. I mean, we all do. I mean, we all can't be mindful 24 hours a day sometimes. And, You know, we are going to make mistakes because humans are imperfect.
Mm-hmm. In retrospect, babes, I think this is obvious, right? But just pointing it out for myself so I know in the future, if we have a situation like that, throw the black beans out immediately because we're not going to have time to soak them. You know.
Oh, you mean take it out of the
slow cooker instead of just pouring it into the pot, just throwing them out.
Throwing them out?
Or cooking them for like the next day.
Oh, you mean like throwing them out if we can't cook them? Okay.
Yes, because we were under time constraints.
Okay. I think we really need to plan it if we're going to use my slow cooker or yours. Put them in there at a or if we're going to cook them for 4 hours instead of 8 hours, then plan ahead.
Well, the plan was to cook them for like 6 hours.
Yeah.
The other thing too, or 4 to 6 hours rather, is that if they would have cooked, they might have overexpanded because you weren't kidding when you said that your slow cooker is small.
No, I wasn't. I said this is a mini slow cooker, and you're like, it's just like mine.
Yeah, it turns out I was wrong on that.
No, I don't just assume it's just like yours. Now you can't just assume that stuff is going to be the same as yours. My stuff anyway. Just as much as our kitchens are very different.
They are. I do like your kitchen better than mine.
Oh, well, good.
Just some layout of it.
It is it's a nice, big, good sized kitchen.
Yes, Jaylo.
That's right.
That's right, Jaylo.
I'm surprised that I do like your apartment, but your kitchen is smaller.
I know, I don't like that.
Well, can I mention this? When I went to visit another place?
Without saying the location.
No, I'm not going to say it.
Go ahead.
No. When I visited another place, I think it might have been like a month ago. Yes, it was a month ago. I was very disappointed that the kitchen was super small. Very, very small. Like, not enough. I guess I should have explored the cabinetry, and how much space was there, but it just seemed like the kitchen was like really small, and I'm like, how can anybody live in a kitchen that's small?
Yeah.
I'm like, that is not, I remember living in a studio apartment in Seattle, I won't mention the place, that you could only fit like 2 people in the kitchen because it was that small. You turn around, there's one person there, and it's like, how is anybody supposed to work in this kitchen?
Exactly. You need some room to have equipment and to feel like you can move around a bit in the kitchen.
Right. But that was my studio. I liked it for a time, but it was so old. So old.
Yes.
But yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, so that was our mishaps. I'm sure people will be laughing at that.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah. I'm glad it was 2 of us messing up instead of 1 of us doing it.
Exactly. Yeah.
So now we can laugh at it and move on.
And I was thinking, she's going to have all these leftover beans, but apparently not. But that's okay.
That's okay. Yes. Well, we did. When I got the that can of refried beans, I'm like, holy moly, it's a lot of beans. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we'll see what happens. You had a second burrito last night.
I did. It was so good.
I did not have a second burrito because by then, it was really filling, and I wanted to, give us something for dessert. So
yes. And
I was thankful that you had more room in your stomach for that. But it ended up being a really good dinner. So I'm really happy that it, despite what we went through earlier, everything was fine.
And that's good. I'm too glad that it went down that way.
Yes.
Yes. Babes.
Yes.
The fun didn't stop after dinner.
No.
We started late, maybe around 7 because of cleanup.
Yes.
And we started watching movies. The first movie was True Romance.
Yes.
Would you like me to give the recap of this film?
I think I'll start with the basic premise.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
I'll start with the basic premise, and then you go and chime in. So basically, it starts off with this guy who's talking to this girl at a restaurant. Is that right?
Yes.
Was it like a burger place?
It was the bar that he worked at.
The bar, okay, yeah. And he was talking about, I really love Elvis. I've got a killer man crush. Well, I'm not doing it justice because he said it even.
Do you want me to?
No.
Okay,
No.
Go ahead.
So he was talking about Elvis, and he's trying to talk to this girl, and he asks her, "Hey, why don't you go to the movies with me tonight?" And he's telling her that he's really into kung fu movies. And she's like, "Are you trying to ask me to go to a kung fu movie with you?" And he's like, "Yeah." And she's like, "No thanks. It's not my cup of tea." And he quickly moves on.
Yes. That's kind of the prologue to the movie. Or the intro.
Yes. Goes to the movie theater. He's watching a kung fu movie. This one girl walks in, and I'm thinking, she's walking in late to the movie theater. She comes in, spills popcorn all over him. I thought it was soda. It was popcorn. She's like, "Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry." And she's like, very, very clumsy. She's like, I spilled popcorn all over you. So anyway, she sits down next to him and she said, "Could you kind of fill me in on what I missed?" And they're watching it and I'm thinking, oh, this is really funny. It was kind of funny.
Yes.
And so they decide to hang out, and he takes her to the bar that he works at because he has a key. They go into the bar, and he turns on some music, and he wants to learn about her, and she's not very forthcoming in the beginning with what she does or what her name is. Go on, please.
Kristen Slater sleeps with this girl, Alabama.
Who's played by a young Patricia Arquette.
A young Patricia Arquette. This is after he shows her the bar. He's talking to her about comic books and how great they are. So, fast forward the next day. He wakes up. I believe he lives above the bar. And Christian Slater goes outside on, I think it's a fire escape, and he sees that Alabama is crying. She tells him, "Hey, listen, I'm a hooker. I've been one for 4 days. You're my third client. And your boss, who's a really nice guy, hired me to go into that movie theater because it was your birthday and have sex with you. But I'm in love with you. I fell in love with you." So, Kristen Slater, I believe his character's name is Lance.
No. His character's name is Clarence.
Clarence. I'm horrible with names.
No, you're thinking about World's Greatest Dad, my dear.
I know you know what I'm thinking about, babes.
What?
I know why you would think that I was thinking about that. I'm not. But what I was thinking about is Quentin Tarantino wrote this movie and Pulp Fiction, and they both came out around the same time. And in Pulp Fiction, Eric Stoltz plays a character named Lance.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I think that's what happened. But anyways.
I have an idea for an Eric Stoltz movie that I haven't seen yet. But anyway, go on.
Okay, pitch me the movie after this.
Yes.
But anyways. So, Clarence is like, "That's great." And the next thing you know, they're getting married. Going off to his apartment, enjoying life. Clarence goes into the bathroom and sees Elvis, who is played by Val Kilmer.
Yes.
Basically tells him, "You got to go to the pimp's place, get her stuff, and kill him."
And let's be clear, this was her ex-pimp.
Exactly.
Correct? Yes.
Her pimp for 4 days.
Yes.
So Clarence leaves. He has a gun. He goes to see the pimp. And there's this great speech that the pimp gives him that I'm not going to go into now about how he recognizes that Christian Slater is nervous.
Yes.
I like that speech, and I like Christian Slater's response to it.
Right.
At some point, the pimp starts beating up Christian Slater. There's an argument, but Clarence, I'm sorry, kills the pimp, gets the stuff, and leaves.
Does he kill his partner too?
I believe so.
Marty?
I think so.
It's a lot of chaos. There's a lot of violence in that scene.
He comes home, and he got a wrong suitcase.
Oops.
Alabama opens it, and there's tons of cocaine. They estimate that it's about $500,000.
Not her stuff, yeah.
Right. They decide that because of the murder and the drugs, they have to hit the road.
Mm-hmm.
They go to see Clarence's dad, who's played by Dennis Hopper.
Yep.
We quickly discover that these two haven't talked in about 3 years. Dennis Hopper is, I think he's still a cop, but he's like a low-level police officer now. He used to be more involved in the force.
I thought he was retired.
See, I understand why you think that way, but I think he was wearing a policeman's uniform.
Really?
Which makes me think that he's probably like been demoted or been transferred and is like maybe more of a traffic cop or something.
Yeah, because I thought he was retired because, he lives in a trailer.
Yeah, they implied that in the movie, but I don't think that's the case. I know why you thought that, though.
All right.
In any event. Or at least it looked like a police officer's uniform. Any event.
Yeah.
Kristen Slater says, you still have friends on the force, Dad. Why don't you call up about this guy? I forgot the villain's name in this movie. Something blue.
A Blue Boyle.
Blue Boyle.
Yeah.
Okay. Dad checks in with his friends and he says they don't suspect anything, and for what it's worth, the more I learn about Blue Boyle, I think you did the right thing, son.
Yeah.
Kristen Slater says, thanks, Dad. Me and Alabama are going to go to Hollywood.
Yep.
To see one of my friends.
He has a friend in Hollywood.
Played by Michael Rappaport.
LA, yeah.
So they leave. Next morning, Dennis Hopper comes home. Blue Boyle is there, played by Christopher Walken. No. He's in the. You're right. He's an associate.
We never see.
We never see. You're right.
It's just a weird name.
Yes, you're right. I'm bad with character names.
I don't even remember what his name was, but he seems like a crazy man.
They have this talk, and basically what we find out is Lance forgot to get his ID from the crime scene. Clarence forgot to pick up his ID.
Yeah, so he found out where he is. Or where he lives.
Some racial slurs are said, and Dennis Hopper is killed. They find something in his dad's house that you're basically saying Clarence and Alabama went to LA. Mm-hmm. So they decide to go there. And by now, Clarence is just getting to Hollywood, goes and sees Michael Rappaport and his roommate played by a young stoner Brad Pitt.
I mean, he's just there.
Which is great.
I think he's a comic relief of the movie.
I forgot his character's name.
Floyd.
Floyd, that's right.
It's Floyd.
Yes.
Dumb Floyd.
So, Michael Rappaport goes back to the hotel with Clarence in Alabama, sees the coke, and says, I may know one guy who could help you out with this. Mm-hmm. They meet the guy whose name is...
His name is Elliot.
Elliot, yeah. Who works with a movie producer.
Wow.
Who likes
Lee Donowitz.
Yeah, Lee Donowitz, who likes to give coke to his friends.
Right.
And we should say Kristen Slater is willing to part with the coke for only $200,000 because he just wants to get the money and get out. Mm-hmm. There's a great scene where he calls Lee. This part makes me laugh. So, Clarence's friend's name is Dick.
Oh, yeah, that one, yeah. And there was a Freudian slip there.
And Lee says to Elliot, who the fuck is Dick? And Elliot says, you want me to suck his dick?
Wow.
That made me laugh.
Only you thought it was funny, but that's guy humor.
It's guy humor. What can I say?
It's guy humor.
90s guy humor.
Well, what could I say?
It's called
it was a Freudian slip.
I thought it was funny. Anyway, in any event, they agree to make the deal. Clarence and Alabama go back to the hotel. Clarence lets her leave the car and says, hey, I'm going to be back. I'm just going to go get us some food. We should say that by now, some people have visited Brad Pitt's house, and he, being the stoner, just told them where the hotel was. Mm-hmm. Okay? She walks in to see James Gandolfini, who really wants the drugs.
Yeah, and she is trying to play it cool and say, hey, I'm not in Alabama, my name is Sage.
He doesn't buy it. There's an exchange. They end up getting into this huge fight.
He almost killed her.
Yeah, she ends up killing him. Christian Slater walks in, sees how messed up everything is, grabs her and the drugs, leaves the hotel.
Yeah. and tries to get to the hospital.
By this time, Elliot has been picked up by the cops. And they say, listen, we know that there's a coke deal. We want you to turn state's evidence. We're going to hook you up with the wire. Okay. I'm fast forwarding a little bit, but you're getting the gist of it. Now we have the big meeting between Clarence, Elliot, Dick, Alabama, and the producer of the movies. Lee. Yeah. Right? And his bodyguards.
Right.
The cops are listening in on this.
And they're laughing at it.
They're laughing at everything. I'm going to fast forward just a little bit. Eventually things go wrong. Cops come in along with the people who want the drugs back. There's a huge shootout. Patricia Arquette kind of drags Christian Slater's body out of the hotel.
Well, she's thinking that he was murdered already.
Yes. But he's alive, but he's very badly injured.
Yeah.
Gets him out of there with the money. They drive off. We find out that they have a kid, and that's the end of the movie.
And they name the kid Elvis.
Yes. My take on Tarantino is that for the most part, he makes fantasy movies for cynical adults. Mm-hmm. But I'm a cynical adult, so I like a lot of his movies. This movie, I think, is... If you can go with that premise, it's a very fun movie to watch. Really well executed. I would give it an 8.5. Funny, fun characters. You want to spend time with these people for the most part. And it's well cast, well executed. And the music is great. So I think it's an 8.5. What do you think, babes?
I gave it a weak 7.
Uh-oh.
I guess if it wasn't so violent and there were no racial slurs in it, the characters are interesting, I guess. I don't know, there's just, yeah.
So I was a little bit shocked by that because you were laughing throughout the movie.
Well, there was some things, I basically told you that I kind of did like it, but I kind of didn't. Mm-hmm. It's kind of, I mean, there's some things in movies that I did like that you showed me, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I was like, oh, it's a solid 8.5 or whatever. There were some funny parts to it.
Would you recommend this movie to anybody?
I suppose if they like, crime-ridden action movies. A lot of shootouts. I suppose my dad would like it.
Oh, good.
I think.
Yes.
Or any men who likes shootings and things.
Yes.
I'm sure they would like it.
It's a very fun movie. Listen, it's not Shakespeare, but it's not meant to be.
No. I didn't realize how young she was in this movie. But she was really good.
I don't know how old she is now, but I'm assuming she was in her mid-20s or early 20s.
Yeah, wow, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then around that time I was only 14 when it came out, right?
I'm surprised you hadn't even heard about this movie before we started dating.
Yeah, I don't know why I haven't, no, I don't think I have. But I'm not really like a big Christian Slater fan either.
I believe he has said that this is his second favorite movie that he's done after Pump Up the Volume.
Yeah, Pump Up the Volume was...
That's a classic.
That is, yeah.
And this is a lesser classic, but it's still a film that's worth remembering.
He does play a very good paranoid person, and I will say that.
Would you say that this is his second best movie?
I don't know. I can't say. I haven't seen enough of his stuff.
You put on the menthol.
I did. It's my cream. So
at one point during actually True Romance, I say, "Hey, I have a headache. Could you rub some in?" And you start rubbing it into my eye for a second.
Oh no! I almost got your eye.
No, you did get my eye.
Did it?
What was funny, babes, is my eye didn't hurt or anything because of that.
Yeah.
But when I started to cry it out, I think, and my tears smelled like menthol.
But it didn't hurt though.
No.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, did it help you?
It didn't help my eye.
No, I mean your
No, you also put it on the back of my neck, and that helped.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's to relieve, like, if you have any muscle pains and stuff, it's just very soothing. I really like it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. Should we do some character analysis?
Yes.
What does Clarence teach us about knowing our limitations?
I'm not sure what you mean by that. What do you mean by that? Do you think he's limited?
Let's look at it like this.
Okay.
We get the sense that it's been a while since Clarence has been laid by the time he meets Patricia Arquette, right?
I would imagine that he hasn't had a girlfriend.
We could even say that, but I was trying to be kind about it.
Well, that's basically what it is, right? He's not good with women.
Well, yes, but I'm trying to phrase it in an interesting way. And what I'm trying to say is, he could have been one of those people where once Clarence discovers that she's a hooker, he completely turns his back on her. Mm-hmm. But Clarence realizes that this may be his only shot at true love, and he marries her, right?
Yes.
There's that. There's also, Clarence could have probably made twice as much money on the coke. A little bit more than that. Because we're told that it's $500,000 worth of cocaine, and he's selling it for $200,000. Because he knows his limitations. He even tells the movie producer that I'm selling it to you because I want to sell it once and be out of it because I don't know what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. Does he teach us anything about knowing our lane and staying in it?
No, I suppose. I mean, he took the opportunity with Alabama. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it was necessarily a good decision, but they made it work for themselves, I suppose.
What type of parents are Clarence in Alabama?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, there are some parents who have children that, their parents had a really colorful past and they are very attentive and protective of their children because they don't want them to do that. But I don't know. Or they could be very lenient parents. Mm-hmm. Who knows? We never know. But I thought it was funny that they named their baby Elvis.
Yes.
I'm like, oh wow, this is crazy. And remember when that one scene when he was talking about, well, there's a big fans of Elvis and then there's the fanatics.
We're not like them.
They're kind of creepy.
Yeah.
They're kind of creepy. I'm like, yeah, you're one of those fanatics.
Yes.
If you're seeing Elvis in your mind, in your head,
and he's giving you advice
on what to do about killing people, that's a little bit extreme.
What did you think of Val Kilmer in this movie?
So I didn't see a lot of Val Kilmer.
I know he's only like 2 scenes of it.
Yeah, that was a very interesting character. I mean, you know him as, in the Batman movies, but he was also in At First Sight. That was a different character. I don't know, it was very strange.
Yeah.
It was very strange. But did you see a lot of Val Kilmer stuff?
Not really. I think I saw some movie he made with Elizabeth Shue called The Saints. Mm-hmm. And I think he's a spy in that movie or something. Mm. It was all right, but it was not too memorable. I don't really know his stuff that well, to be honest.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah,
I don't know. I can't say. It was just it was very strange that he was coming, Clarence having visions of Elvis, and then he would say, yeah, I like Clarence, I always have. I'm like, yeah, that's only in your imagination.
Well, the real Elvis had drug issues, so maybe he would have liked Clarence, I don't know. Or he could have seen him as a poser. Right.
Or maybe he just could have ignored him because Elvis had his own issues. Mm-hmm. Yeah. From what I understand, though, sidetracking here.
Yeah.
From what I understand, though, I heard that Elvis was a very, very lonely person. Even with all the women and the drugs and the whatever, all those crazy antics, I heard that he was very lonely.
I believe that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway. Besides that,
they only made $200,000 from this little experiment. How do you think Clarence and Alabama end up supporting themselves?
That's a good question. Because they weren't in it for very long, were they?
No.
I don't know. Maybe they do something completely opposite.
Maybe they open a nursery?
For plants?
No, for kids, since they have a kid themselves, or what?
Oh my goodness. A daycare service?
Yeah.
A home daycare? Yeah, Alabama opens a home daycare, and Christian Slater becomes a high up in a company or something, or a tech company. I don't know.
Yeah, or he just becomes a house husband.
I don't know. It could go either way. She could be the breadwinner. I don't know.
Do you think that these characters are still together?
Yes. It was implied that they were.
Mm-hmm.
I think they, through all that mess that they had, which, was a mess, I think they have, pulled through.
Quentin Tarantino has started to novelize his movies. I should say he's done that once now with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and it just came out this last week.
Yeah.
And there's only 2 of his films that I would like to hear more. I would like to see these characters more of, right? So, I don't get me wrong. I would love to see what happens to Max Cherry from Jackie Brown, but those aren't Tarantino's characters. That was an adaptation of an Elmore Leonard book. But if we're talking about Tarantino movies, I would love to. I wish we would have gotten the film of the Brothers Vega. You know, and we talked about that. You and I did privately. I wish we could see Jules from Pulp Fiction in a movie or a book and hear about what happened with his life. And I also kind of would like to see a continuation of the characters from True Romance. Like, where are Clarence and Alabama today? Whatever happened to them?
Do they have any children? More children?
Did they have more children? Did they break up?
And whatever happened to his friend in Hollywood? We know.
I think he died in the shootout.
Did he?
I think so. He was there.
Oh, that's right. He was.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't know what happened with him.
I'm assuming that he died.
Oh.
Yes.
No. That's not right.
He was there.
No, he was there, but they, wait, I'm trying to think. I thought he didn't.
I'm pretty sure Mike Rappaport died in this movie.
Okay.
Now, Floyd might be a different story.
He doesn't even know that his roommate is gone.
It's been like 30 years. He's waiting for him to come back.
Hey, what happened to my roommate? Yeah.
I love that scene where they go over to the house, the guys who are working to get the drugs back, and Floyd's giving them directions. He's like, y'all want to smoke a bowl? And they start cocking their guns. He's like, okay, so you take this street, that street. I thought that was funny.
You go down that way and...
So let me ask you this.
Okay.
If they ever either make a sequel to this book or Tarantino writes...
Film?
Yes. Or Tarantino writes a book sequel to this story, would you read it or watch the movie?
I don't know. It's possible. Maybe I would do both. I don't know.
What do you think happens to Clarence once he finds out that his dad died?
If you're talking about what they do after this whole mess, maybe Clarence decides that he wants to be a part of the police force.
That's possible.
Yeah, even though he didn't have such a great relationship with his dad before. Because he didn't talk to him for 3 years.
Yeah.
But his dad really did help him out, so... maybe he does to honor his father.
Yes. 1 second, I'm going to press the record button.
Okay.
For the Blues Festival. Hold on. All right. Very good.
Is it doing it?
It is doing it.
Awesome.
You can kind of see the levels moving.
Oh, cool.
Yes. So I'll have the Blues Fest. I'll get you a copy, okay?
Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
I think you're allowed to record stuff just as long as you don't use it for commercial use.
Yeah.
I'm not going to put out an album of Mark Burchard's performance at the Blues Fest or anything.
And sell it on the market.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, this is what I recorded.
You're right. Here's a copy. Buy it from me.
Right.
Yeah.
It'll cost you $15.
I wonder if anybody's ever done something like that. So maybe they take I don't know, maybe they because you can set up your own CD distribution through CD Baby. And I've done that with the EP I put out a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And I've wondered if anybody's ever said, okay, this is from a band that nobody knows.
Right.
And then you listen to the tracks and it's like somebody else's music. Like, I don't know, Mark Broussard's performance of Blues Fest, for example. I don't know. I'm not doing that, but I don't encourage anybody else to. Don't do that.
Don't do that.
No.
Yeah, not good.
No. Are there any questions about True Romance that you have for me?
Elliot's gone too, right? He died also.
I believe that both him and the movie producer are no longer with us.
And Clarence's friend.
Yeah. I liked it when they come into the room and Clarence is talking to the movie producer and he says, what's the name of that movie? Body Bag?
Coming Home in a Body Bag.
Coming Home in a Body Bag is one of my favorite movies.
The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, that's a movie.
Yeah.
But Coming Home in a Body Bag is... I was like, oh yeah, we're making Body Bag too.
Yes.
That reminds me of... and there is actually an actual movie called 8 Heads in a Duffel Bag.
Yeah, I remember when that came out. Honestly, it looked like a bad copy of a Tarantino movie.
I saw part of it and I was like, oh, this is nuts.
Mm.
I believe Joe Pesci was in it.
Yes.
And it was like a weird...
I think David Spade had a small role.
It was a very weird movie. I didn't watch the whole thing.
Yes.
It was very strange.
Does watching True Romance make you want to see more films from any of the people involved in it, whether it's Tarantino, Tony Scott, or Christian Slater, or Patricia Arquette?
I don't know. It's possible.
Okay.
It's possible. Anything's possible at this point.
Is there anything else you want to say about this movie?
I think it's weird that they gave her they gave Patricia Arquette's character the name of a state. Alabama Worley.
I'm assuming that that's where she's from.
Yeah.
In the movie.
Yeah, but she is known as Alabama or Bama as he called her.
Mm-hmm. I like when they're in the car after James Gandolfini beat her up, and Michael Rappaport said, "What happened to you?" She says, "Oh, I was playing baseball."
I was playing baseball, and then he repeated it to the police officer.
Yeah, he's "Do you beat your wife?" And he's like, "No."
She had an accident in baseball. Well, she wasn't going to tell him what really happened.
No.
She was fighting for her life, though.
Mm-hmm. I think that might have been the security guard for the movie producer, but yeah, I get the point.
Right. Well, yeah.
Any final comments about this movie?
No.
Okay. So, we have a conundrum here, babes.
Okay.
Do we want to talk about the man who shot Liberty Valance first, or the thing that happened during the movie first with us?
I think we should say that for afterwards.
Okay, but we are going to talk about it here.
Oh, goodness.
We have to. We have to.
Why?
Because it also happened to me. I was brought into it.
Oh, yeah. I don't like that. I don't like that you're brought into it. But let's go on with the movie.
Let's talk about the movie. After analysis, we'll talk about what happened to us during the movie.
Yes.
All right, so since I took over the reins of giving the recap of True Romance.
I fell asleep for part of it. Remember that.
Of Man Who Shot Liberty Valance?
Yes, I did.
Do your best, and I'll fill in whatever gaps you have.
I don't remember the first part, because I fell asleep during...
Oh, shit, okay.
Remember?
All right, I'll start it off, and then you take it over from me.
All right.
Okay. It's based in the Old West. Because they had telephones, I'm assuming that it's like, I don't know, 1890. And I'm just throwing that number out.
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy Stewart and his wife are coming back to the small town where they met. And everybody's excited to see Jimmy Stewart because he's a powerful politician. They're going back because somebody named Tom...
yes, it was Tom Donovan, played by John Wayne.
...has passed away.
Yes.
And Jimmy Stewart starts telling the story about how he met Tom Donovan. Stewart's name in this movie is Rance.
Ransom Stoddard. And they call him Rance, for sure.
We have a flashback. Liberty Valance and his crew was attacking this wagon that Ransom Stoddard was on. He defends the ladies on it. Liberty lets him live, but he's severely injured, and he's taken to this kind of like home.
So the ladies
to recover.
Let me guess. Were the ladies the do we meet them in the as the movie goes on?
We may have.
Okay, I think so.
Okay, so he's getting repaired, and he was rescued by John Wayne, who comes by and says, "You can stay here as long as you want, Pilgrim. Just recover." And here's a tip: don't mess with Liberty Valance.
I don't think he had a southern accent, a thick one anyway.
He put on a southern accent.
Okay.
I think the dude was from California.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's from, but he was Southern California, so
Southern Cali.
Yeah. But go on, Biz. Take it from here.
I think, okay, let me think. Was this around the time where they meet these two women, Hallie and Nora?
Yeah.
So Hallie we find out pretty early that she can't read or write.
Mm-hmm.
Nora is learning English because was she from like Germany?
Oh, I don't remember because I was partially falling asleep during the movie too.
Yeah.
I want to say Ireland, but don't quote me on that.
Yeah, so Jimmy Stewart, Rance, takes them under his wing as two pupils. And so he's giving these lessons to Hallie and Nora, and she's still kind of wondering, well, what is reading and writing done for you? I think she has made some meals for these men or so. Is she a part of Tom's house? I can't remember.
No, it looks like they're going to get married someday.
Yeah, they were together.
But they, as far as I know, they weren't living together. She was living at the place where they took Jimmy Stewart.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So that was going on, and then there was something in there. I think the place that they lived at was known as Shinbone. That's
right, and it wasn't a state yet.
It was not a state.
Yeah.
And this, of course, is a fictional place.
Yeah, that's right, because at the end they say, oh, to Jimmy Stewart, you helped this place become a state.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, and we should mention that, and there was some interesting characters like the sheriff with a funny voice.
Yes. And who looked like he never really operated a gun.
Yes, he was kind of like the, a portrayal of a bumbling sheriff. And Jimmy Stewart at the time, Rance at the time was a lawyer. Is that when they had a meeting about so he's been before I get to that meeting, he wanted to shoot Liberty Valance because he thought he was a villain. He thought that I forgot why he said that. He just did not like that guy.
Well, Liberty Valance was the guy who overtook the wagon at the beginning of the movie.
Right.
And it's implied that really nobody in the town likes him.
Yes.
But they're afraid of Liberty.
Yes, they are. Mm-hmm. And he made it his mission to want to get this guy. Could you go on, please?
All right, I'll add a few more details in. I'm not a John Wayne fan, as you've heard me pontificate about for the past day, Pilgrim. But there's a scene with him and Jimmy Stewart that I really like. It's when Jimmy Stewart, as Rance, goes over to see Tom at his house. And
is that the paint scene?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. Tom is saying, you don't know how to suit Pilgrim. Why don't you take these paint buckets and put them on top of my fence. Yep. And then he proceeds to shoot each one of them. Mm-hmm. That scene was really good.
And the paint got all over the ground and all over him.
Oliver Rance.
Yeah.
And John Wayne thought this was funny. Or at least his character did.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to edit out a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. But time keeps on going by. Liberty is still a bane in the side of everybody in this town.
Yes, he is.
There's a big meeting. And at this meeting, they're electing representatives to send to another town to talk about certain issues and whatnot.
Yes.
Liberty comes into the mix and wants to be one of the representatives.
Yes.
Tells people before they vote, I know you guys are all high and mighty here because there's a big crowd.
Mm-hmm.
But remember, you're going to be alone. So think carefully about who you vote for. They vote for Rance and some other dude, but not for
Liberty.
Liberty. Coincidentally, I found it funny that he kept using the word dude in this movie. And then, of course, I realized, they have dude rances.
But it was such a weird, you didn't hear a lot of people using dude until like the 80s.
That's my thought about it.
Yeah, I know.
But again, we have dude rances.
But we have dude ranches, yeah.
Yes. Apparently, Liberty Valance was also a surfer in California. I picked up on the term. I don't know, dude.
Yeah.
Any event, after the meeting, he tells Rance, I want to meet you and have a shootout.
Mm-hmm.
Rance goes, is very nervous, shoots, thinks that he kills Valance.
And he's laughing.
Yes.
And he says, all right, this time, right between the eyes. And then he shoots and thinks that...
I just said that. But in any event.
No, you didn't.
Okay, what did I say?
Well, remember, he didn't get him the first time.
I know that, babes. I said thinks he shot Liberty Valance. Okay. Everybody in the town is happy. John Wayne burns down his place, but his horses are fine.
Mm-hmm.
And Rance goes off to represent the city to this other town. They want to elect him to be a public official because he's so popular thanks to the death of Liberty Valance.
Mm-hmm.
Rance decides that it's time to leave. But then Tom comes and explains, hey, bro, you know how you think you killed Valance? That was actually me, and I had to come in and save your ass because I knew that my girl was going to be upset if you died. And you taught her so much reading and writing, she's no longer going to be any good for me around the house.
Okay.
So I want you to be with her. And
that's a little bit strange.
Part of that is living up to this legend that I helped you create.
Uh-huh.
So Rance goes back in. Everybody loves him. We fast forward now and see that that's basically the end of the story. And the reporter that Rance is telling the story to basically says, well, we got to print the legend. And so I'm not going to release the story.
Mm-hmm.
Last couple scenes, people are burying John Wayne. Rance is in the carriage with your girl... Hallie. And basically says, I think after I get this next bill passed, I'm going to retire. And would you be okay with us moving back here? She says, do you know how many times I've dreamed of this Pilgrim?
No, she didn't call him Pilgrim.
Pilgrim husband. I've dreamed of it a lot, Pilgrim husband.
Like, my roots are here.
Pilgrim.
Yeah, and so she said, yes, I think we can go back.
Yeah, and he's like, well, Pilgrim wife, I think that's a good idea.
Pilgrim wife.
And the movie ends. So, Jaylo Pilgrim.
Oh my goodness.
What would you give this movie on a scale from 1 to 10?
I think I would give it at least a 7.5.
I would agree with you. I was partially asleep during it and
I was too, yeah.
Butchered the recap.
But I did like how it was executed as far as the Western, because I never really watched a Western through.
Mm-hmm. I've seen Westerns.
Yeah.
I was expecting to see more of John Wayne in this movie, but it's really about Jimmy Stewart and how he perceives the people around him, including the character that Wayne plays.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that. I thought we were gonna see more interactions with him and Jimmy Stewart together.
Yeah.
But that wasn't so.
I wonder if they liked each other or not in real life. I don't know.
I guess we'll never, unless we read a book on both of those men.
And we don't believe in doing that darn reading, Pilgrim.
Oh my goodness. Oh. Wow.
Okay, so what does this movie teach us about living a lie?
You mean like living as if you actually killed somebody?
Yes, like Jimmy Stewart does.
Like you liberated the
town.
The town? That's a really good question. Because he really did believe he did. He really believed that he did it.
At first, yes.
At first. And I wonder if he, it didn't seem like he was basking in the glory of it. I don't know. Or maybe he was just accepting, oh yeah, I did it. Sure. Yeah, I really did it. So I don't know.
I have a controversial answer.
What's that?
I think the movie teaches us that it's okay. Because not only does Jimmy Stewart go off to do great things based on this lie, he also gets the girl.
He does get the girl.
And while we get the sense that it bothered him the day of Tom's funeral and when going back to Washington, I don't necessarily know that he spent the last 30 years thinking every day about what a horrible thing it was.
Yeah, it seemed like he just kind of went on and decided to put that in the past and didn't look back.
So maybe he has a few moments of regret here and there, but I think that he knows that ultimately the myth was good for his career.
Or maybe it's that because Tom admitted that he actually shot the bullet to him, that Tom was giving him permission to move on with his life.
To accept the myth.
Yeah. Oh, no. Tom was giving him permission to go on with his life knowing that he did not kill somebody.
Well, wait a second. We can make the argument that Tom could have not said anything. And
true.
Jimmy Stewart, while he would have thought that he had killed somebody, he would have also felt that he had protected the town against this evil force.
But they still, well, I guess my question would be, did they find out that Tom really killed?
No.
Yeah, because Rance never told them.
Rance told the reporter at the end of the movie, who said, I can't share this story, and he ripped it up.
Oh, wow. Okay. I must have missed that part, but yeah, it's interesting. Had Tom never said anything, Rance could have completely believed that he did it till his dying day.
What are the last 3 decades of Tom's life like?
I would imagine it was very lonely. Because not only did Rance marry his girlfriend, but Tom, I don't know how many friends, if Tom had any friends.
I get the sense that he's liked in the town.
Okay. Liked in the town, even though he didn't always get along with Rance. But
Rance is also new to the area when we first hear about the Liberty Valance thing.
But I would imagine that he might have been a lonely person because he didn't have a wife.
Yeah.
We're assuming he didn't have a wife.
What does it say about, what's the girl's name? The love interest? Hallie. That she would just leave Tom to go with Rance for...
Well, it kind of reminds me of World's Greatest Dad in a way.
Okay.
Because you know how Morgan Murphy's character, what's her name? It's not coming to me.
Not Kara.
What is her name?
It's not Carol. It's...
Her name was, her last name was Reed. Oh, Claire. Yes, Claire. It's kind of how Claire was, right? It's like if the guy wasn't successful, she wouldn't be with him. Lance wasn't successful, so she ended up leaving him for Mike. And she was kind of bouncing back and forth between the two guys. Hallie, it sounded like she believed that Rance really did liberate the town, really save the town from Liberty Valance. And he also taught her how to read and write. So he had more things going for him than Tom. And that she just decided, Rance is a better fit for me. And Tom didn't want me to be educated.
How many more years does Rance live after the funeral of Tom?
I don't know. Maybe he lives another, at least 10 years, 20 years. Yeah, I mean, they were pretty old by then.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Are there any questions about this movie that you have for me?
How do you, that's a good question. What did you think about the other characters, like Mr. Peabody, who was supposed to be the newspaper guy, and the sheriff, the bumbling sheriff?
I thought that this is clearly a town that needs a little bit more structure.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
You want a better sheriff than this. Now, it also sounds like that's their only option. But, and that, I mean, I guess that's why it was so easy for Liberty and his crew to wreak havoc on this little community, is because they didn't have a strong sheriff.
Mm-hmm.
And Peabody, in my opinion, he was just kind of there reporting. I didn't feel one way or another about him, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Would you recommend this movie to anybody?
Of course I would. Yeah, it was good.
What's your elevator pitch?
If you want a good old-fashioned Western.
Sounds good.
With everything in it.
That sounds good, Pilgrim.
I saw part of a Western called Hang 'em High. But I wasn't really paying attention. It was kind of in the background. I
didn't know what to get you for our anniversary in a month until we watched this movie. And then it hit me, a cowboy hat and some riding lessons.
Oh my goodness.
Pilgrim.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
Is there anything else you want to say about this movie?
No, I thought it was very good. I thought the characters were interesting. I thought the bumbling sheriff had a funny voice. Mm-hmm. You're like, he has a funny voice. I said, yeah, he does. He's very goofy.
Now, since we finished talking about the film,
mm-hmm.
let's talk about Pilgrim Mom.
Oh, I was so mad. I was very, very upset.
Okay. Alana's mom called her a couple times yesterday.
3 or 4.
And I get up to use the bathroom in the middle of the movie, so of course we have to pause it. I usually have my phone on Do Not Disturb, but I see that I missed a call, and I don't recognize the number. So I say to Alana, she's like, that's my mom's number. Okay.
I was really upset. I was very upset. I couldn't believe that she actually went there.
I don't like being dragged in the middle of stuff. Yeah. So Alana calls her mom back, and I say, hey, just so you know, I put your mom's phone number in the spam folder. So now it'll come up as spam on my phone. Mm-hmm. Which you may or may not want to let your mom know. Just so she doesn't call me.
I don't like, I mean, and I said to her, what if he wasn't with me? Mm-hmm. You know? And, but, you know, at this time, I wasn't gonna give her any detail. I just said, look, I was busy, I was cooking, we had some mishaps, blah, blah, blah. And it could have, you know, and part of it, I forgot to tell her that I was sleeping and I didn't really want to be bothered. And she's done this time and time again where I never said that I was going anywhere. I never said that I was going to do anything outside the house. And there I get calls one after the other. And if I don't answer in a certain time frame, like right away, pretty much. Like if she calls me twice and I don't call her back, she's going to assume that something's wrong. And I would imagine that she probably doesn't do that with my, with other relatives. And it annoys me because it's like, I just don't know what to do. I don't know how to make her and another one of my relatives understand that, you know, I have a life too and I can't be on the phone all the time. And I don't think I need to do that. I understand that people need to know where I am at certain times when I decide to do that. But it's like, if I'm home, even if I'm by myself, and this has happened more than once, and people are afraid, like, oh my goodness, what is she doing? Because it's happened in my early 20s, and I just don't know how to get through to her that just because I don't answer the phone earlier in the day and I don't answer it right away, that doesn't mean that I'm lost somewhere in the wilderness or whatever.
Okay, so rather than turning your mom into the enemy,
but I don't want her to be the enemy, but I just don't know what to do.
Well, let me finish my sentence then, babes. How do we make your ma, or what's a proactive way we could go about approaching your ma and your kin? Oh.
I'm just at the point where maybe I should get someone to intervene, because I just cannot do this. I just don't know. I just can't get through to her because she will not cooperate.
By the way, that person is not me.
No, I'm not gonna let you.
Yeah.
Intervene.
Yeah.
Unless I really want you to, but I don't think you should.
I don't think I should either.
Yeah.
Pilgrim. So, you could get somebody to intervene. Another thing you could do is say, "Hey, listen, I had my Pilgrim boyfriend block your number. So if you can't get a hold of him, if you don't get a hold of me, you're not going to be able to get a hold of him." Right? Because I don't want him getting in between this. So it's either call me, wait for me to call you back, or call the police.
But the thing is that, the thing is that if she didn't have a reason to go there anyway.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't missing.
Right.
I was safe.
And you talked to her like 2 days before.
I talked to her like 2 or 3 days before, so she knows where I am. I mean,
and your sister the night before.
Yes, I did. So she knows where I am. So I'm like, what's the problem? And I just think that she's, honestly, I mean, and it's not just her.
Right.
Okay, it's not just her. Anyone who is spending all their time worrying about somebody for no reason, has to really examine themselves and wonder, why are they having all these worries? Why are they having all these?
So I absolutely don't agree with your mom did with that, but I also believe that you are in your 40s and it may be time to stand up a little bit instead of just complaining about it.
I've been trying.
So let me present you with an idea, babes. One thing you could do is creative targeting. And what do I mean by that? You could start calling your mom every other day. And if there's a day where she doesn't answer and goes more than 5 minutes, you start calling your sisters obsessively and saying, "Why hasn't mom called me back? Is something wrong?" And just keep doing that. And so it's kind of like, now this is like, I'm being passive aggressive, Rick, right now.
Yeah.
Because this sounds like something I would do in my 20s.
But I'm like, no, I don't think that's the kind of way that I want to handle it.
Okay. So, I would go with the first thing then. I would have a calm conversation with your relatives, and I would also talk to your mom and say, "Hey, this isn't going to be, an option going forward. Calling my Pilgrim boyfriend because I had him block your number from the phone. So if you don't
I didn't tell you to do that. You just did it.
No, because I'm not getting in the middle of this.
Yeah.
Like I'm talking about it now because I feel I have to because I was brought into it.
Yeah.
But I'm not interested in getting in the middle of this.
Yeah.
Right.
There would be other people that wouldn't mind that, but I don't want to put you through this either.
Yes.
It's really not your problem.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I would say, so what are you going to do if I don't answer the phone now? Mm-hmm. I don't know. That's just what I would do. And
then, it's, so I know which relatives that I can't talk to about this.
Yeah.
Because I know that they're going to take sides. And I don't want that to happen. I want someone that will look at it objectively and say, well, that's not right, what she did. And it's been going on for a long time. I just don't know. I mean,
Can I make an argument that you're not going to like? Or I'll forget about it.
No, it's okay. It's fine.
All right, Pilgrim. So you just said, I want somebody who's going to look at it objectively and say what my mom is doing isn't right. But if they're looking at it objectively, I believe that they would come to that conclusion. But by saying they're going to come to this conclusion, that means automatically you're going to look for somebody who agrees with you and not look at somebody who's going to view the situation objectively. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Cause I believe you're right. But I also believe if you go in with, well, they're going to look at it objectively, then you shouldn't put on what their conclusion is going to be.
No, I understand what you're talking about.
Yeah, and I understand what you meant, but I wanted to clarify that more.
No, I get it. I mean, I suppose it would be easier to talk to someone that doesn't know much about the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Or to talk to someone that knows a lot about the situation, that understands what I'm going through.
Yeah.
And is really the only one that really understands what I'm going through.
So it sounds like you're going to reach out to your older sister and discuss this.
It's possible.
Nice.
Because she would understand it. And she used to do that at one time.
Yes.
But then she realized that, oh, wait, I think I'm going too far with this. So she understood that, oh, wait, there's something wrong with me. I think I'm going too far with this.
That's right, Pilgrim.
But, I mean, so, anyway, I guess I'm feeling good about talking about this now.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's good to get off my chest, and I don't have to feel like I'm the only one going through this.
Yeah.
But I do not like, and this has happened before with other people, and I was upset that they got involved and not voluntarily involved.
Yeah.
And I was just so upset because I'm like, why go through all this trouble when, it's I wasn't in danger.
Yeah. And like my attitude, you already know it, but it bears repeating, is I'll listen to other people when they tell me their stories, but I don't want to get involved with stuff. Uh-huh. So because at the end of the day, it's really none of my business unless people make it my business.
Right.
And I feel like what your mom did last night was making it my business.
Exactly.
But if you explain to her that that's no longer going to be an option and that the number's blocked and all that good stuff, then as far as I'm concerned, it's no longer my business. I may ask you about it. You could refuse to answer it. Yeah. But going forward, I want it to be none of my business.
Well, okay, good. Because there have been people in my life that will say things like, oh, well, you made it my business because blah, 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 or I'm making it my business.
Yeah.
No, I think it's more like I'm making it my business.
Those people sound like insecure guys to me who like need something.
Well, not guys. Oh. I mean, I'm talking about women.
Oh.
I'm making it my business because you're my family or whatever it is.
Okay.
And I'm like, I don't like it when people do that.
Yeah.
Because it's like, if I want it to be your business, I would want to make it your business, but I don't usually want people in my business.
Yeah. As far as I'm concerned, after this conversation, as long as there's not another reason to get into it, it's no longer my business. Unless you want to tell me, and I could ask you about it, but you could just say the situation's handled.
And I understand, I do get it. I will say this, I do understand why relatives would get people's numbers, in case something really does happen to me, because I get it. People need to have, we need to have people around us that will actually be there when it is needed. Mm-hmm. I get that. But if it's nothing to be concerned about and they're making it somebody's business and they're saying, hey, something's wrong, I think something's wrong with me, for example, I don't like it.
Yeah.
And it's not like I've made a habit of just, disappearing and not letting anybody know about it.
No, I have done that with my family.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, but your family's a little different.
My family's weird.
So I would rather, and I'll conclude with this, I would rather have a family that cares about me than not care. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it's at the extreme. It's gotten to the extreme where if I don't answer the phone right away, then they're going to get really, really, really scared for whatever reason, even if I'm not in danger. And I don't think that's right.
Yeah, and then I'm going to drop it. I think that it would help if you were more proactive about this because for real, you're 40 and it's time to move past this.
That's 41 to you.
41 to me. Well, you know what I mean, babes. It's time to like be proactive and stop playing the we don't you. But I'm going to let you do what you do. If you want to talk about it, we can. I'll bring it up. I'll ask about it, but you could always just say, I got the situation handled. Then it's time for me to drop it.
Okay.
Is there anything else you want to say?
I'm wondering if I should, and I'll stop after I say this.
Go ahead.
I mean, I could talk to my sister about it, but I also wonder if I need to talk to a counselor about it because this is just really
Why
driving me
not?
crazy.
Why not talk to both about it?
What?
Why not talk to both about it? Talk to your sister and talk to an outsider, like a therapist or a counselor.
Or even a friend of mine. I don't know.
Yeah.
That doesn't know about the situation.
Exactly.
Because I'm sure that's happened to many a blind person.
Yeah.
And that they feel like they're treated differently because, well, they can't drive. I mean, at least that's how I feel.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I feel, and I don't think it's right. I just feel singled out. It makes, I would imagine it makes it makes a blind person feel singled out because of it.
Yes.
And I've felt that way many, many times.
Being blind, this is I'm sure I'm not gonna earn any brownie points from the sighted world for saying this.
Yeah.
But being blind is like being a minority in your own family.
Absolutely, I totally agree.
Mm-hmm.
Without even trying to be.
Yeah.
And I mean, with the, trying not to sound woke here, because it kind of does. But yeah, it does kind of feel like it. It feels like you're being marginalized.
Well, but take the aspects of wokeness that work for you and leave the stuff that you feel is just insane propaganda, you know.
I don't like wokeness at all, but I mean, if I'm really going to be honest,
yeah,
it really feels like I'm singled out.
Yeah.
It really does. And it doesn't need to be.
Yes.
It doesn't need to happen.
Yes.
Anyway,
so
I'm done with that subject.
Good luck with talking to a counselor. Good luck with talking to Pilgrim's sister and all that stuff.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my badness.
By the way,
what's up?
Is there an app for counselors, for finding counselors?
I don't think it's an app, but if you go on the Psychology Today website, I think there's a section where you can type in your city or address and it'll give you a list of counselors. And I believe you even have the ability to look for counselors who work on a sliding scale. So if you can't afford them.
Right.
Or
I wonder if there's a website where I can actually type in a question and get answers online.
I think there is. I don't remember the name of it.
Yeah.
And I'd be willing to help you do some research. I did remember hearing something about that, actually.
I think that would be good because if I didn't really want to talk to a counselor that I didn't know, or, and some counselors don't even share my views either. So,
yeah.
And but you gotta really, I mean, now you have to really look.
I believe there actually is. I'm forgetting the name of the service, though, but we'll look into it.
Okay, that would be helpful because I kind of, in some ways, I really want to remain somewhat anonymous.
Mm-hmm. I mean, so you don't want to go on Clubhouse and get into one of those counseling sessions that they have publicly?
No. I don't think I want to do that.
Okay.
No, because then it's public.
Yes.
I would rather it be a private thing, and I may just want to just type in my question and, throw caution to the wind.
Yeah.
And say,
I'd say start with Psychology Today, and I can do some more research, and you should as well, just in case, my research methods are different than yours.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, you mean the way that you do it? Yeah. Okay. That's something to think about.
You'll be like, go to wokecounseling.com? No, Pilgrim.
Nope. I have to say, I think it's really funny and cute that you're referring to me as Pilgrim. You're in a Pilgrim kick.
I think it's Pilgrim Jaylo.
Well, I thought about reading a book called Pilgrim's Progress, which is a classic, from what I understand.
Yeah. Oh, something's going on with your
Rumbly in the tummy.
Yep. Babes.
Yes.
This morning I started the Matthew Polly book about Bruce Lee.
Matthew Polly.
Yes. It's pretty good so far. I didn't know that his dad was an actor and that Bruce Lee was in a bunch of movies as a little kid. I think he made something like 15 or 20 movies by the time he was 18.
You know what? I saw a movie about Bruce Lee's life, but it was I forgot where I saw it, but it was a movie about Bruce Lee's life and that he was married and he had a son.
Was that movie that Spike Lee did called, I think it was Dragon?
Oh, I don't know. And he dies, of course.
Yes.
I think he dies. Didn't he die like in a plane crash or something?
No, he died at his mistress's house, I think.
I didn't know he had a mistress.
He had you hear different things. Like one of the rumors is that the mob had him murdered.
Wow.
Another thing is that he died smoking hashish and had a bad reaction to it. Which I'm surprised that hash could do that, but anything's possible. But I think the most common theory now is that he had a reaction to some medication, a bad reaction, and that's how he died.
Okay, so I think I watched that movie. I'm not sure if it was Dragon or not, but I heard that he died fairly young.
32.
And he had a son named, was his son Brandon?
Yes, who died on the set of The Crow.
Oh, I think you told me about that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How did he die? Was it a stunt?
It was. So he was a star of the movie. There was a scene where he's supposed to get shot, and one of the bullets was an actual bullet and killed him.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
That's a tragic.
It is.
That is a tragic. Tragic.
And they were
thing.
2 weeks away from completing the movie.
Oh, that is so sad.
I think it's one of the first examples of using CGI to replace an actor in a movie, because obviously they didn't cut him out of it, but they used computer effects to finish his final scenes in the movie. Yeah.
That is really, really, very, very sad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. I need to rewatch The Crow. I didn't like it when it first came out, but I was only 11 at the time.
Okay. That was with
Brandon Lee. He was the main star of it.
Yeah, Brandon Lee and... Yeah, okay, wow.
Yes. Someday I'll get to it. It's about a dystopian kind of world. Yeah, it is sad. A lot of people think that movie would have made him a star.
Who was the guy that died because of he had to be under the helicopter and
Vic Morrow on the set of Twilight Zone. And those kids died too.
Oh, so sad.
Yeah.
Did you see that episode?
Oh, it was the movie version of the Twilight Zone that came out in the 1980s, and yes, I saw the movie.
I did not. I didn't know that it was made into a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And it's not that good of a film, to be honest.
The show's better.
Yeah. And Vic Morrow, if you remember, was the opposing coach in the Bad News Bears.
Oh, yes, yes.
He was also good friends with Leonard Nimoy.
That is such a horrible way to go.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and they sued John Landis, the director, over that.
Oh, I totally understand that.
Pretty much ruined his career, I think, because I think he did Coming to America after that, and the movie Oscar, which I liked but didn't make a lot of money, and then he did the third Beverly Hills Cop movie, and I don't know if he's done... No, I think he did a sequel to An American Werewolf.
What is Oscar about? I heard about it.
It was fun as a kid. It's basically... Sylvester Stallone plays Snaps Provolone, who is in the mob, and it's...
Snaps Provolone?
Yes, this is the day that he's about to leave the mob for good. It has him, a bunch of people are in it. What's her name? Marissa Tomei plays his daughter, who pretends to be pregnant so she can get out of the house. Tim Curry is his linguistics coach. I liked it as a kid. I don't know if it holds up, but it was fun.
Wow.
Yes.
That is just nuts.
Yes.
Snaps Provolone. That's a funny name.
It is.
That sounds like a very weird name for a mobster.
Yeah, it's based in like 1931.
Yes. Provolone cheese.
Provolone.
Yeah. Anyways, that's pretty funny.
Yes. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about or questions for me, babes?
No, I am glad that I got that off my chest, though.
I'm glad I am too, okay?
Yes.
I am too, okay?
Okay.
Yes. Well, I won't be hearing from Pilgrim Mom on the phone anytime soon.
No.
And hopefully not your other kin.
No, I will say this.
Yeah.
Before we go.
Go ahead.
I do think that she means well, but the way that she...
Yeah, I do too.
I like the way that she's going about it is not a healthy thing.
The point of the discussion was not to make your mom seem like some weird enemy.
No, she's not my enemy. I love her very much.
But it was just so you could vent and tell how you were feeling.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I think that the way that she's doing it is not very healthy. That's all I wanted to
Yeah.
To say as irritated as I was.
And also to be fair to your mom, in her mind, she probably thinks this is the best way to go about it. Now, we could disagree with her methodology, but I'm sure she didn't do it to, like, antagonize you.
No,
Or that would be my assumption.
she wasn't malicious.
Yeah.
And I think part of it is anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
I think there are people in my family that are anxious, and it was really sad to see.
Yeah.
So I guess the way that I want her to find a way to calm her fears.
Yeah.
I think she knows how to do that, but I think she forgets.
Maybe you should teach her about meditation.
She
The Buddhist one.
No.
Stop. What did I do?
I haven't done it in a while.
Okay. Well, yeah, I can't.
Ow!
Oh, sorry, babes. Are you right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cracked my knuckle.
Oh, sorry, babes.
Anyway, enough of that.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else you want to say?
No,
Right.
no, I don't think so. But I'm ready. I don't know about you, but I'm ready for a snack.
Hell yeah. Let's do it. Yes. All right, babes. Bye for now. We didn't have any dreams last night, or else
No, there were no dreams, but we're gonna have some snacks and listen to some blues.
Yes, and hopefully dream tonight. And if we don't dream tonight, then Alana's mom will call the police. All right. Or her sister.
She's not dreaming. Something's wrong.
Right.
I'd say that was pretty funny.
Thank you, babes.
Pilgrim.
All right, Pilgrim.
All right, Pilgrim.
Let's mosey on out of here and get some snacks, Pilgrim.
Let's get a little bit of grub.
Yes.
And listen to some music.
Sounds good. Oh, Pilgrim. We almost forgot to kiss. Real kiss, Pilgrim. All right, Pilgrim, Jaylo.
Okay. Pilgrim away.
All right. Bye for now, Pilgrims.
Bye.
Bye, Pilgrims.